Baldacchino is the centerpiece of the Basilica. It rises above the tomb of St. Peter and the papal altar. It really is one of the most sacred places in all of Christendom.
The Baldacchino is absolutely dynamic. The swirling, spiraling columns going up are massive, and it's all about movement to show God's majesty and His glory.
Mai nessuno aveva usato qualcosa del genere.
Interessa bronzo, l'oro, il legno dipinto, legno dorato, diversi tipi di doratura.
63 tonnellate, una dimensione simile a un palazzo di 10 piani.
The most important project of the time.
Legati al fondamento della nostra fede.
The main altar of St. Peter's is built directly over Peter's tomb, which is really amazing. And the successor of Peter is the Pope, of course. We wouldn't have the Eucharist, and we wouldn't have the Gospel and New Testaments brought down to us if it weren't for the Apostles. So they're the living link to Christ, to the Eucharist, to the good news of the Gospel.
L'ultimo grande restauro è del metà del Settecento. Sono oltre 250 anni. La prima fase del restauro è comunque la conservazione.
It's very dirty. 20,000 people a day visit the Basilica, and they carry with them dust.
Polveri che hanno poi creato un degrado sul bronzo del baldacchino.
Quindi respirando cambiamo il microclima della Basilica. Questo continuo cambiamento comporta che le opere d'arte sono soggette a uno stress.
Pensate alla straordinarietà di questo luogo per l'arte, per la devozione e per la fede.
A baldacchino was a cloth canopy over a throne originally. So the throne of kings, popes, and of bishops. But the church said Jesus is the King of Kings. And so a baldacchino was put over altars all throughout Rome, and it was called a ciborium. This baldacchino that is being restored was a ciborium to honor the King of Kings.
The Knights of Columbus have always been in service to the Catholic family and to the Church, and this project is really an expression of our loyalty to the Universal Church, but also to the successor of Peter, Pope Francis.
Giovan Lorenzo Bernini, a young 24 years old, incredible sculptor and man of curiosity, the genius of the Baroque time, he was commissioned by the Pope Urban VIII to give a structure to very, very important symbolic place, exactly on top of the tomb of St. Peter's.
Le origini del baldacchino ci riportano indietro nel tempo, esattamente a 400 anni fa. Il baldacchino di San Pietro si chiama così perché in qualche modo vuole simulare le stoffe preziose dall'Oriente, da Baldac.
Puoi immaginare come un tendaggio sopra le colonne che appunto ci fanno pensare a quel soffio dello spirito come in un sacrario.
It's very important to see the baldacchino as an expression of what's going on in the church during this time. The Protestant Reformation reacted to tremendous abuses in the church's life, which many Catholics talked about and wanted to reform. But they reacted in a way that broke with Catholic tradition. They rejected bishops and the Pope as successor of the apostles and Peter. Many people think about what happened after the Reformation in the Catholic Church as the Counter-reformation. But it's really important to understand that the church was not just reacting to Protestantism. The church was renewing itself in the 16th century. So the columns have to express that. The baldacchino has to express that. The same movement, but even more dynamic and massive to show God's majesty and His glory. And of course, the majesty of Christ's body, the church.
The baldacchino brings together two realities. The reality that God comes to dwell with us, to be with us, and the reality that we are called to raise our hearts and our minds to Him in prayer and in gratitude.
St. Peter was the chief of the apostles. Peter's confession, Peter's faith, inspired by the Holy Spirit, that is really the rock upon which the church is built. From the earliest days of the church, there are reports of Peter's martyrdom. So the church's tradition is that Peter was crucified upside down in that arena and then buried in a cemetery right there on the slope of Vatican Hill. So the church, from a very early time in the catacombs, began to celebrate the Eucharist on the feast day of a martyr over the tomb of a martyr. And once we moved out of the catacombs, relics of martyrs were put in altars. The main altar of St. Peter's is built directly over Peter's tomb. But it was only in the 1930s that the tomb of St. Peter was discovered, about 32 feet under the present floor of St. Peter's.
Sulla tomba di Pietro negli anni è cominciato un flusso di pellegrini che sono stati costruiti piano piano un altare sull'altro per dare sempre più importanza a questo posto.
Quindi percorriamo tutta la grande navata della Basilica di San Pietro, la percorriamo con il fine di accostarci alla tomba di San Pietro, di incontrare San Pietro.
Hanno organizzato diverse squadre di restauratori di altissimo livello che lavorano costantemente dalla mattina alla sera al restauro del baldacchino.
Some days we are 15, 17 people working all together on the baldacchino.
È quella che in gergo si dice un'opera polimaterica, no? Di tante materie, e quindi presuppone professionalità diverse.
We have to remove these sticky materials and preserve as much we can the original patina.
Rendere di nuovo visibile il più possibile la bellezza di questa opera nei suoi colori, anche nei suoi materiali evidenziati nel loro originario stato.
There are probably more than 100 bees on the monuments.
Tutte queste api dipinte minuziosamente, i divertimenti che ci sono stati. Sulla nostra colonna all'altezza del capitello c'è un grillo.
It was an extraordinary experience to climb the scaffolding and be on top of the baldacchino and to be with the artisans and to see the great care that they bring to their work of restoring this magnificent work of art.
It's a wonderful, wonderful project, one of the many that the Knights of Columbus are supporting.
I Cavalieri di Colombo sono ormai da tanti anni dei partner nella conservazione e anche nella promozione, nella valorizzazione della Basilica.
Questa collaborazione tra la fabbrica di San Pietro e i Cavalieri di Colombo, una collaborazione che è sempre stata molto viva. La nuova cappella dei Santi Patroni d'Europa, facciata della Basilica di San Pietro, dell'atrio e della Porta Santa, crocifisso ligneo di San Pietro, la cappella polacca con la Madonna di Czestochowa.
Ma ne saranno state fatte più di 20 di restauri, ognuno molto importante e ognuno molto particolare.
Cioè ci accompagnano in questa avventura di conservazione per restituire alle generazioni future questa bellezza.
Rinnovando queste opere d'arte si aiuta a rinnovare la fede dei pellegrini che vengono a visitarle.
The final approach will be fantastic. The gold is shining again. At the end will be shocking.
It will be an incredible and beautiful and wonderful shock for everybody.
Possano essere attratti anche dalla bellezza, dallo splendore di quest'opera e così lasciarsi in fin dei conti richiamare o lasciar che si risvegli nei cuori quel desiderio di assoluto, di infinito.
Restaurare un'opera d'arte e fede con un grande significato simbolico come dire, vivifica la fede stessa, cioè la rende più viva, aiuta il fedele e invita il fedele alla preghiera, ad accostarsi alla tomba di San Pietro e al nostro Signore con un rinnovato spirito.
It's a great honor for us to be part of the Jubilee Year 2025, the great Jubilee Year of Hope. It is our hope that millions of pilgrims will see the restored Baldacchino, and they will be inspired and their faith will be renewed.